What's up, guys? Welcome back to Honest Tattooer, where we like to discuss all things about tattooing because we fucking love it. And most of all, we don't fucking suck. So this week, we have a very special episode, and we have Erica Chandler with us.
Hi.
And she is the tattoo admin coach. And we also have Matt Triano as always.
Hey, I don't.
And we have G Money in the house.
On the couch, chilling.
And we're going to talk about the value of, having somebody on your tattoo shop who knows what the hell they're doing. Because that's one of the hardest jobs, I feel like, in the shop, and one of the most important ones. Because we need to stick to tattooing, and that's what we should be doing, and not worrying about everything else. But before we get into it, we want to remind you guys to please like, share our videos, and most of all, if you want to really support the show, go to our Patreon account. You can see a lot of really cool content there. And most of all, it helps us to keep doing this for you guys. So, cool. Anyways, so hi, welcome to Honest Tattooer.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
No, good to have you. So, when Matt brought this up to me first, that you wanted to come on the show and talk to us, I was like, sweet. But I was like, what are we going to talk about? Because, nobody's really doing what you're doing.
Right. Exactly.
So, for the people that don't know you, just tell them a little bit about who you are and how you can help them.
So, my name is Erica Chandler. I'm from Ohio. I am married and I have a 6-year-old little boy. And my career, I'm a tattoo admin coach, which basically means that I am training your customer service people, your personal assistants, however you call them, office managers. I call them tattoo admins. It's like the umbrella term for everybody. Yeah. And basically, when I started this, I was working as, I'm actually married to a tattoo artist as well. Mm-hmm. So back when COVID started, I started working for him. I was working in HR and he had me quit his job, or he had me quit my job. And I started working for him, and I just started noticing a lot of these shortcomings when it comes to being a tattoo admin, and being that I don't have a lot of training to go by. I was pretty much shoved to the wolves. These are my clients. This is what you say. Okay, bye, have fun. That's pretty much what it is. And given that my first job was actually being married to a tattoo artist, you think that I would have more training, but he didn't know how to train me in all of this stuff. But luckily, I have 12 years of running an office experience in the corporate world before I came into the tattoo industry. Yeah. And so I started putting that all into play. And then I just realized that there is a big flaw in the tattoo industry when it comes to you as a tattoo artist wanting to hire somebody, but you as a tattoo artist also not knowing how to help them, how to train them so you can get back to tattooing.
Yes.
So then I started creating this program. It's called Tattoo Admin Masterclass, where I actually coach tattoo admins on how to specifically talk to clients. So, we all know that people are emotional buyers, mm-hmm. and we need to monetize emotional buying. So through my course, it's all about how we are specifically talking to clients, how we are being a leader, because that's essentially what we are. Yeah. When you hire me, or not me, but when you hire a tattoo admin, you essentially want them to take care of it. Right. You want to get back to tattooing. You want everything else to be passed over to the assistant. And this is a leadership position. But I teach a lot about being the authority. We're leaders. We're supposed to take care of it. You got to reschedule. We're supposed to take care of it. You've got a consult. We're supposed to get them scheduled, or whatever it may be, so you can focus on what you're good at. And, with my program, it's more so with balance. We learn how to effectively communicate with clients. We learn about setting boundaries with clients, because that's a big one. Mm-hmm. Being the authority, that's one of the number one topics in my class. And making you guys look and appear busy in every single aspect of everything that we do. And I'm talking scheduling. I'm talking about using specific keywords to make people jump to schedule, because you guys look and appear like you're in demand at all times, even when you're not.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, people come from different backgrounds, and each one kind of tackles it in a different approach, I've had people that came from retail, people that came from service industries, and each one kind of approaches it in a slightly different way. But my biggest complaint, has always been like the lack of trying to assume leadership and authority, and be able to delegate properly and talk to people properly and things like that to get a desired outcome,
It's tough too, because even people who work in a shop who's not a tattooer, but like especially clients too, being in a tattoo shop is a very intimidating place to be.
Mhm.
Being around tattooers is a very intimidating thing to be around. So it's hard for someone who's not necessarily a leader to just take on that leadership role.
Yeah, exactly. When it comes to clients, one thing that I've learned is we're in such a vulnerable industry. Everyone's coming to get tattoos. It doesn't matter what it is. There is a meaning behind it, and we want to hone in on that meaning. We want to make them feel special, and we want to set the client up for success, because it's not like how it used to be. I don't know how long you guys have been tattooing, but I'm sure in the 80s and 90s it was okay. You set your appointment, you go to get tattooed, and you might not see that client again. But now we're in this day and age where we have clients that want to connect with you guys. And if they don't feel like you guys give a shit, then, how are they going to come back?
It's so much easy for them just to go to the next guy down the street too. There's so many tattooers.
There's just so many.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many good tattooers, and I feel like the most important thing that will keep somebody with you is establishing a relationship.
Yes.
I've seen people that maybe not great at tattooing, but they're great with people.
Yeah.
And they're working all the time.
Yeah, it's easier to resell a reoccurring client than it is to sell a new client.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
100%.
When it comes to like the first initial phase of the inquiry process, that is the most crucial phase. It's not at the consultation, because people are going to get a view of how you are over the phone or over email or however you do your inquiry process. But that is one of the most important steps, is because we have to, I've done some research into this. You know how on social media you have 2 seconds to grasp somebody's attention. Yeah. It's the same thing when you inquire for a tattoo. You need to catch their attention really quickly, and they can tell within 2 to 3 seconds whether or not they're going to have a good experience with you guys, whether or not they come into the shop anyway. So it's crucially important that we put more effort into that booking process, because that is it's just I can't stress it enough. It's one of the most important processes. It's not the consult, it's the actual inquiry process that's going to get people in the door.
The way that I'm hearing you say it is that maybe more of a personal response is better than an automated response.
Yes. So basically what I do is, just a roundabout story with this is that 89% of the average tattoo artist's client base is millennial and Gen Z, which means that they are going to need some extra reassurance. And of course, I don't know if you guys know this, but who's the most anxiety driven? Who do you think?
I'm going to say Gen Z at this point.
Millennials.
No, come on.
Millennials and elder millennials. That's me too. But when it comes to all of this, when I started doing all of this practice, I started keeping the mind of thinking like a client. Think about what I would want if I were coming to get a tattoo. It's not like an older generation like a boomer or Gen X where it's like, okay, your appointment's here, I'll be there. Just tell me what time and I'll be there. It's more so along the lines of, you need more of an automated process. To start having a seamless process, you need more of like an automated process. And I'm not saying like this big old like email marketing type of process. What I'm saying is that I'm sure that you guys get a lot of messages where it's like, hey, I sent an inquiry a couple days ago. Did you get it? Did you get it? Those types of clients have anxiety because they put so much emotion under being with the fear of being left unread. There's like so much emotion behind that where they think that you're being rude or they think that you're ignoring them. But
you're not interested in my tattoo anymore.
Right. And they think that, but in reality, you guys have to have some sort of mental capacity to reserve that capacity up to be able to actually dive into those messages. Yeah. So when it comes to like the first step, I always preach sending a confirmation email, text message, whether you copy and paste it, but let them know, hey, we got your inquiry. it's, due to high submissions, it could take an average of 2 to 7 days for us to get back to you, but just know we got it. And, that's it. And that resolves a lot of the multiple responses that you're getting that can, overwhelm you guys. But when it comes to it, a lot of the clients need extra reassurance with it. And they need appointment reminders and confirmations and all of this, because when it comes to this first part of the inquiry phase, it's not also just about introducing yourself and making it about them and making it seem like you actually like the tattoo. It's also everything else in the back end as well. I can't preach this enough. I'm a tech gal. I understand. I was in I have a background of computer stuff, payroll, all of that. So I understand automation and the booking process and all of this stuff. And when it comes to it, millennials and Gen Zs, they need the extra reassurance that they can go into an appointment and know that they're in the right place. I hope I answered your question. I feel like I went in a circle. Okay.
I mean, one of the things that helped me not so much is what I transferred to an automated system to automate, confirming appointments, allowing the person to reschedule an appointment if they need to reschedule it, all through an automated system, and then also, a follow-up,
Yes.
Through an automated system where it's
You really have to be with your clients.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
It's bad. I get it. There are times where people will send an inquiry and then we respond and nothing. It's like Facebook Marketplace where someone says, "Oh, is this item available?" And it's like they speed past you in a van and don't even respond back to you. But it's the same thing. It's just awful because it's you have to send multiple messages "Hey, we sent you a response. Are you actually looking for an artist? What's going on?" Because in that time from the time they set an inquiry to the time that you respond, they could have talked themselves out of it and they're too scared to actually tell you.
5 other places.
Yeah.
Back to back first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's just so much that goes on to it, but how we can minimize that is our part on the back end process that can actually help with that a lot.
So let's walk us through the process. So if someone sends me an email, now we have an automated thing, or maybe even we type it out personally. It's "Hey, we got your email. It may take a couple of days before we get back to you, but we got it. So just chill out. Don't worry about it."
Right.
Now, a couple of days later, whenever we get the time to answer that email, now who's doing that? Is it the artist? Is it the person up front? What do you suggest to do that?
If you don't have someone to take over it, then of course it would be the artist. But if you do have someone like the front desk person, if your goal is to get back to tattooing and you have a front desk person, then I would recommend having the person that operates the front desk do those emails for you guys. When it comes to it, one ways that can help you guys is eliminating multiple pathways of communication. And what I mean is, instead of saying, "Oh, text me if you want an appointment, send me a Facebook message, send me an Instagram, send me an email." If you have so many of those, you're going to have too many hands in the messaging. So what's going to happen is if you have an assistant and you are getting an inquiry through an Instagram and you book something and then your assistant comes in and tries to book something as well, but that date's already reserved, there's just too many hands into it. So what happens if you have a tattoo appointment, someone paid a deposit and you forget to actually book that appointment or put it in the calendar, and then your assistant goes in and puts a appointment in the calendar, and now you have 2 clients coming up okay, what the hell do? I just have 2 appointments. Who goes home and who gets tattooed type of thing.
How I answer that? Who lives closest? You're the ones going home.
Yeah.
No, it's more like who's got the money in hand, who's paying cash, who's paying credit card.
That's just it. If you're going to have someone do it, you got to wipe your hands clean of it.
Yeah.
Let them take care of everything.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that a lot of tattoo artists have a problem with, is that they want to hire someone to take over things so they can get back to tattooing, but they have a problem with releasing the control of it to where their hands are in it and they're not trusting their assistant. And, I understand there's instances where they may have gotten burned, where they hired somebody that may not have been qualified, or that person didn't know how to actually fulfill the position, so they just left.
Well, the problem is what you were saying earlier. That's the hiring part of it. If you don't know who you should be hiring, it makes it really hard.
Absolutely. But that problem, we can have a different conversation with that, but that is also, you guys were never trained on what to look for.
Yeah.
You guys just hire who you know, and And when it comes to hiring, you shouldn't be hiring just because you know somebody. You should be hiring because they have an undesirable skill that's an asset to your business.
Yes.
And, you know, if you don't do those things, you're going to get burned. And when it comes to the messaging portion of it, we need to make sure that we have an organized way to do things. So that way you can just show up on your consult days or your tattoo appointments and everything is right there for you. The assistant is supposed to set the blueprint for you, meaning that they're supposed to extract as much information from the client as much as possible. So all you have to do is go in and take a look. So I know a few tattooers, they'll take a look at their schedule and they've got this notebook and like they'll take notes of what that person wants, you know, right before the tattoo consult. Yeah. If we're not doing that, guess what you guys are going to have to do? At the time of the consultation, you guys are going to have to extract that information, and it seems like we're not doing our job.
Right.
You know, so I highly believe this is a leadership position. And I highly believe that we are the ones that are supposed to set the blueprint for you. So you can actually get back into tattooing and doing what you guys love. So it's not such a chore anymore. So
it's not easy to find someone who could do all that though.
Yeah.
I mean, we were just looking for somebody here and it was a process.
It took months and months because, you know, you're looking and there's always like, you know, if the person doesn't have enough tattoo experience or they don't have enough management experience or enough just the skills.
A lot of times what I think happens is that somebody will see like, oh cool, tattoo shops, you know, hiring, and then like you get some random kid who wants to hang out in a tattoo shop and that's who's looking to work here. Someone who's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna get some free tattoos out of this.
Right.
It's the cool thing to do, but they don't really have any experience doing the things that we want them to do.
Right. And I think a lot of people confuse having a front desk person assistant as an apprentice. So then that's when that opens the door for like apprenticeships.
Two separate things.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, both of their paths cross at some point and do some of the same duties in some shops. Yeah. But yeah.
It's not a long-term thing because, you know, that they don't want to do that job.
You know what's funny? I always think about this where I'm just like, where I've seen a lot of like, especially on Instagram, where shops are looking for, you know, we need a manager. This is not an apprenticeship opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then immediately, I think people think, yes, this is my way to get an apprenticeship, right? Oh yeah, this is my inside. This is how I'm getting there. That's not what we're looking for.
Yeah, because then it's like, you know, the thing is like, those two things do cross at one point because as a tattoo artist, you should know and understand how to book yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, you should know how to do it. You know, and
doesn't mean that you should do that forever.
Forever, yeah,
right.
Yeah. You want to get to a point where you can hire somebody that can do that very well for you.
Right, and I think I see you guys as a legitimate business. So, you know, I always bring this analogy, like, do you think CEOs do everything themselves? Like, do you think the CEO of Walmart do everything themselves? They hire the people to take care of it for them so they can get back to what they love. So instead of 20% tattooing and 80% the back end, we flip it when you hire someone where it's 80% tattooing and 20%, you know, doing stuff that, you know, still sticks with you, like ordering the inventory because you're the only ones that probably know how to order the inventory, or gathering your expenses, or, you know, whatever it may be. But when it comes to the actual assistant part of it, it's very difficult sometimes to find an assistant. But if you're looking for whether or not they have experience in the industry, you're going to find out, which I'm sure you guys kind of just indicated, that, you know, it's very slim that you're going to find someone that has experience in this industry. However, if you can look for characteristics of somebody having leadership skills, a multitasker, somebody that can meet deadlines for you guys, like if you guys do tattoo conventions, like instead of waiting to the last second, you can have that person handle all the paperwork and you're done and all you have to do is show up. If they're coachable, all these skills, like learning how to specifically talk to clients when it comes to being in the industry, can be learned. Mm-hmm. But it's the skills that they already know, that they already have, that you can hone in on. Like, honestly, if it were me and if this were my shop, I'd be looking for a administrative assistant, because these people know how to run offices. And these people are ones that are organized and aren't procrastinators and actually can help hold you all accountable and help enforce how you guys are operating. But that's just a suggestion that I can make when it comes to actual looking for somebody.
Yeah.
We cut this out if it's too personal, but what does a tattoo admin get as far as pay?
So when it comes to a tattoo admin, I think that depending on their experience of what you view as an asset, what skills that they have as an asset. Yeah. If they are an entry level person, that's someone that's more so coachable, that has multitasking skills, but doesn't really have any administrative skills, entry level, I would say no less than $15 an hour. But the thing is that people think that, or tattoo artists think that you have to hire full time. You don't have to do that. You can even approach this as a side hustle type of position that has the potential to grow, where it can just go to part-time and then full-time, to where, like, for me, I can get everything I need to get done in 5 hours a week. Because I'm so skilled at what I do that if you can find an especially skilled somebody that has more experience than an entry level person, you don't need them 40 hours a week unless you absolutely do. But if it's just to start off with, doing emails and scheduling, which is 9 times out of 10 is what you guys are looking for.
Yeah.
But when it comes to that, you don't need someone part-time. If you have someone that's a little bit more experienced, I would say the pay scale would be between $17 and $24 an hour, just depending on the experience that they already have. Yeah. But if you look to outsource like social media or accounting or finances, they vary between 25 to 50 plus an hour. So it just ultimately depends on your needs and what you view as an asset.
Right. They're like skill set and how many responsibilities and things they handle.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So then is that someone different than someone behind the counter greeting customers as they walk in?
No, they can, you can choose to have someone behind the scenes where they can do it from home and have a front desk, or you can just have the front desk person do all of it, or you can just have somebody from home, or, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
I feel like it varies so much depending on like the kind of shop, that you're in, like here we have a good fluctuation between moments where it's very busy of just people walking in, and it occupies a lot of their time, where if it was like somebody that's flooded with emails, they're not going to be able to spend as much time taking care of emails if they have to attend to like people in person,
Right. Exactly.
But then therein lies like, how good is that person at time management? What are they going to be doing? Like, are they taking care of those emails and stuff that can be taken care of when there aren't like people to greet, Which some people will just take the opportunity to be like, all right, we're chilling, because it's slow.
Well, you can tell when it comes to time management, one thing that you can tell, especially if you've got someone, if you're really slow in here, but you are busy behind the scenes with emails, you can tell based on how they're scheduling you out by their time management.
Yeah.
So if you log into your emails one day and you've got like 20 emails, but you only have, let's say 5 consultations or maybe 1 appointment that week, you can tell that they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Right.
You can tell that, especially if they're supposed to be following the protocols that they're supposed to be following, which is, what I highly believe in, which is of course about my program that I have. Yeah. But a lot of the time management, you can tell by just how they're scheduling.
How many people do you work with on a regular basis? Do you try to work like in small groups with like, administrators?
Yes. So I try to cap it at 10, but I'm actually just started my next round of masterclass, and I have 3 right now.
Cool.
But the next class, I'm actually starting to align enrollment August 1st for the last class of the season, which will be in the fall.
Cool.
So man, who's in this class? Is it tattooers looking to train somebody else, or are you training the admin?
I'm training the admin.
Okay. Right. That are looking for these positions.
Yes.
Cool.
That are actually in the position.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
So basically what I do is admins that are already working for you, it's physically impossible for me to teach them how you guys operate.
Right.
Because there's a million of you and there's only one of me. What I do is basically after they learn, like let's say they're in here for a month, 1 to 3 months. What I do is the skills that they already have with what they've learned with all of you. Like, let's say you're your price is $1,500 a day, of course. So if they are learning how you operate and you make deposits and all of that stuff. So what I'm doing is enhancing their skills. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, you need to take out this. We'll go into like real time and actually go over emails together in class because there's a proper way of doing things. So it's already taking their skill level from here and bringing it up to here to where when they are talking to clients, it makes it a no-brainer to have them book with you guys.
How fast would you say, or like how many emails would you say you would take from point of contact to booked appointment?
With me, I cap it at 4 to 5. So usually for me, what I do is I introduce myself. So the first thing is I'm actually introducing myself as the person of authority. Because the reason why I do that is because for some reason there's a stigma among tattooers and clients that the assistant does jack shit and they don't have authority around doing what they're doing. So I establish authority right then and there. So they know that I'm the get-go person to go to.
Like you're not going to get an appointment unless you're talking to me.
And there's a different subject that I'll probably get into with that drives me crazy. But yes, when it comes to the first inquiry phase, I establish authority and then I start saying, oh, we love your tattoo. My artist is absolutely honored that you love his work and it's a pleasure to meet you. And so I talk the tattoo artist up. In every single email, I end with a question. So I want to keep the client engaging. So I don't want them to assume that we're not interested because I'm confident enough when it comes to artists that I know what they take and what they don't take. If they tell me that they're neotrad, they're not going to take Pinterest little line work, but I'm still going to make the client feel like they're welcomed and special when it comes to that. So that way, if I can extract that information, I can go to the next person that's in the shop and say, hey, are you interested in this type of thing? So after I introduce myself and talk up the artist, then I'll ask the inspiration behind it, just to kind of get more information. And then when they respond back, I'll ask if they have reference photos, like something to spark the imagination. But then I push for artistic freedom. And it's so funny to see because you guys, just a blanket statement of all tattooers, anytime you guys get artistic freedom, the giddiness that comes out of you guys is hilarious.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when it comes to,
yay.
Right. And by the time they answer my first email, we're on email number 3. And so basically I'll say, hey, are you looking to keep your tattoo similar to these reference photos? Or are you leaning more towards artistic freedom? I plant that in their head.
So you know what's crazy? What you're mentioning right there is it's definitely like an admirable skill because you're essentially doing something that we would try our best as tattoo artists to handle ourselves. And that is selling trust.
Yes.
Because when you establish trust in the beginning like that with an email to then the client going, oh, I just love his work. And all of a sudden it's like, I'm going to give them artistic freedom. You know what I mean?
Yes, exactly.
That's huge when you're that welcoming and you're making the person feel important. Their ideas are important. And it's almost like they kind of like relax a little bit.
Yes, exactly. I can't tell you how many times that I have asked if they want artistic freedom and they respond with, actually, I trust your artist. I love their work. They know what they're doing. I trust them. And then after that, that's when I go into general information about cost and how to schedule a consultation. And
go ahead, finish.
I was just going to say, the only reason why I do that is because if you give too much information, you're scaring your client away.
Okay.
Ooh,
so
true.
that kind of just answered my question I was about to ask you.
Yep.
Is there any science behind why you keep the conversation going with multiple emails as opposed to just asking everything in the first email? Just like, I need to know all this right now. Let me know in one email. That way we're not keeping this conversation going longer than it needs to be.
Personalization and connection, since that's extremely important to do, not only with the actual studio, like being in the studio, it's really important to connect with the client before they even get to the door. Because I've had experiences where I've gotten tattoos myself and I've submitted inquiries with other tattoo artists, but they've immediately said, congratulations, it's time for a consult. And it's like, I feel like I'm left up in the air when it comes to, you know, all the information that I felt like the artist completely just disregarded anything that I said. But I'm a type of person, I lead with empathy, and I'm constantly being authentic in everything that I do. So when I'm thinking about clients, that's one of the key indicators that I try to hone in on, because people want to connect with you. Some people are just like, okay, give it up. Just give me the cost. Let me know when to schedule. You know, granted, there are people like that.
Yeah.
But 9 times out of
Cut to
10,
the chase.
right.
Like,
But 9 times out of 10, people do want that connection with whoever's writing those emails.
yeah.
That's good to know, because I've even said it before on one of the other episodes, is that my process is, if you send me an email, I send you directly to a link to a Jot form that has everything that I want from you. You fill out all of it, and then I read it and I say, all right, cool.
Yes.
Sounds great. And then I just send you another link to book your own appointment. And then that's it. And then there's no back and forth. And
everybody has their preference when it comes to that. And, you know, that's completely normal for you as a tattooer to do that.
Yeah.
Because you've got shit to do.
Right.
You've got so much shit to do. But if you have an assistant and they are the ones handling things, it needs to be more personable.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, because if they don't, what's going to happen is your client's going to say, who sent that email? Who does this person do? They're not going to know who your assistant is. And you want your clients to know your assistant.
Yeah.
You want your clients to have that connection, because then you can hear compliments like, I loved your assistant. They were great and very personable. They listened to what I had to say. I can't tell you with the structure that I have outlined, that within my own personal profession, that I have tattoo artists that I've worked with say, my clients thought you were amazing every single time. And that's not to gloat, but that's the proven system that I've created that helps so much when it comes to the whole entire process.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It adds value, you know,
Yes.
and it adds another person that they like at this shop.
Yes.
That now
True.
when they go back there, they're excited to see the person that greets them. They're excited to see the artist. And I feel like that's something that we have going on here pretty well, that, you know, people are they're like, oh, they like know multiple people in the shop.
Yeah.
They don't just know your tattooer.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
They're like, oh, the front desk person is super cool. And then even like, I think the worth of even building that between the client and, you know, the front desk or admin person in the shop is that when they're getting tattooed, they feel comfortable with that other person there to either tell them like, oh, I think I need this, you know, I think I need a candy because I'm feeling lightheaded. You know what I'm saying? Or just when that person goes by and they're just like, oh, that tattoo's looking awesome. They're like, oh, sweet. You know, they're getting that little bit of reinforcement from somebody that they've already built a little bit of rapport with. And I feel like
totally.
that's adds value.
It's exactly. And it makes it so much easier, because then the client's going to start recognizing that person and addressing them by name. So I have, you know, just for an example for me, I have clients that'll say, hey, Erica, I'd love to get back on so-and-so's books. How do I pay a deposit? Because they know me.
Yeah.
And when they know you, it actually makes it easier for us to be able to follow up with them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because if we are just making a sales transaction approach, like, you know, just saying, hey, congratulations, you're been selected for the next cost or the next steps. If we make that a transaction, we're not being very personable. And of course, everyone, of course, has a preference. But for me, I prefer to have more of an authentic relationship with that assistant.
And it makes future bookings even easier.
Yes.
Because they're already familiar and they're like,
Yes.
you know, I'm just going to get another appointment with them. You know, we're going to add to like something on my leg or my arm. You know, artistic freedom again.
Yeah.
Like,
you know,
cool, let him do his thing.
just let him do his thing. I know what he can do.
Yeah. And it creates,
Seeing you guys soon.
Yes. And it leaves less room for people to question our integrity as the person in charge.
Right.
Because we're taking more of an initiative to get to know them as well.
Yeah.
How often do you communicate? Because I'm assuming not everybody's local, you know, you're communicating through like Zoom or something of the sort, right?
So I do Google Meet, and we just meet every Monday. So it can be anybody across the United States. We're just on Eastern time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Cool.
Nice.
How long is each session?
I try to cap it at an hour and a half. It just ultimately depends on the admins that are in the class, because a lot of them like to bring in problems that they're trying to work through currently right now.
Oh, that makes sense.
So they come in and like ask for advice and all of this. And then we go through all of that and I give suggestions on all these things. And then that's when the class starts. So it ultimately just depends on what they have for me before class starts.
Well, that's neat because it makes things more like robotic. I mean, it makes things less robotic and more like, situational.
Yes.
And how to handle those certain situations, which you might not just get with just like a general course. You know? Yeah.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Is there any extra parts of your process that you didn't talk about yet that you want to share?
I can talk about boundaries.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Oh, for sure.
Okay. So when it comes to being an assistant, I've had my experience with this where clients overestimate their level of importance when it comes to speaking with the tattoo artist. So I have like clients that'll try to go over me and then try to go to the artist.
Man.
And that pisses me off so bad. I try to not let it ruin my energy, but it's something that's so disrespectful because I feel like me and the artist have something intact, put in place, a boundary where it's like, hey, if you want to schedule with the artist, you need to go through the assistant. You're disrespecting the artist that way.
Yeah.
I had a client that just wasn't taking me seriously. I have an artist that's guest spotting in Oregon here actually next week. And this guy since like March has been like, hey, I have a deposit. I want to book with your artist. Is there still time? So I would say, yeah, as of right now, because we can't guarantee spots, yes, there is time. But the problem was he's like, okay, I've got cash in hand. I'm going to go to the bank and I'll pay you because we're from Ohio. So, my artist is in another part of the United States and he's in Oregon. So he'd say he'd go to the bank and pay that evening because I'd give him a credit card link. Would hear nothing. So we go through this charade couple times to where it was like getting to the point where I told my artist, I'm like, I'm done dealing with this guy. I have told him a million times, hey, no, you need to pay. I can't guarantee it's going to be available. The last time I said, this is your last chance. So then, with that, the roundabout story of it was, he told me he was going to pay that evening because he just went to the bank. And then the next day he said, hey, I've got cash in hand. So I told him, I basically told him, I said, no, we are rejecting you as a client. We reserve that right. We feel like you're not a good fit. And then the very next day after I did that, he went around to the artist and messaged them in their DMs and tried to get in that way. And when it comes to boundaries, it needs to be to the point where if I'm your assistant, you need to back me up.
Right.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah, exactly.
And when it comes to that, like it's so embarrassing when a tattoo artist does not back up their assistant. It's like going to a grocery store and ringing up all of these groceries and somebody is upset about a expired coupon and the cashier's like, no, I can't do it. But then they ask for a manager, but the manager does it because it's easier just to give the client what they want without acknowledging the cashier saying, hey, look, this cashier, did what they were supposed to do. Yeah. It's the same concept. If you're going to do it to bless the client, that's one thing. But if you're just doing it it's easier just to put up with the client and not acknowledge the assistant and say, hey, the assistant was right here. Right. You need to go through what she is saying. Then that's when it comes to be a boundary issue. Mm-hmm. Because I can't enforce boundaries. I can't enforce how you operate if I'm not backed up by the tattoo artist.
As the assistant too, you got to be quick to tell the artist, be like, hey man, watch out for this guy because he might go around me. Like you got to be on top of that. Yeah. Because I can imagine that the client at that point go to the artist around your back and you haven't had time to tell the artist that this guy's being a dick. And now the artist is like, all right, whatever. Yeah, I'll just do whatever. Not knowing that he was trying to, get one over on you.
Right. And that's like that just going around the assistant to get to the artist just drives me crazy. I've had experience where I've told a client the cost of the tattoo and they go around me and go to the artist and say, is this accurate?
Like,
That's the worst.
dude, I talk to my artist every single day. I mean, likely I'm on the phone.
I'll give you a discount. Yeah.
Like, sheesh.
Yeah.
Right. And it's so important. Like, that's one of the portions of my class is boundaries and consequences. Because if we are setting boundaries with a client and they disregard it, we have to set a consequence. Because if we don't, we're enabling that behavior to continue.
Yeah. And that's just it too. Like if you have a shop that already has that kind of situation where clients talk to the artists, they kind of, they're used to that. And then you hire an assistant or you hire an admin, and then the clients aren't used to that and they just go over them anyway and start talking directly to the artist. But if you can start off that way, right off the bat, and you build that kind of foundation, it's a lot easier to have the clients feel that way.
But the problem is that clients think that when we come in, we're just barreling over everything and saying, no, we're doing it this way. Where it's me and you as a team, we're coming up with these policies and procedures and you're hiring me to enforce it. Like we're not doing this on a whim. And a lot of clients, yes, we understand that you're used to being with your artist and talking specifically to them. Like, a 20 plus year veteran tattooer, I'm sure you got clients that send you messages when you really want them to go to a form and you just deal with it type of thing. But if you're not enforcing boundaries, at the end of the day, it's your business.
Yeah.
And I'm here to enforce it. At the end of the day, it's not your friend's business. It's yours. And in order for that to happen, you have to back up the assistant if you've hired them to help you enforce how you're operating.
Yeah. And I feel like if you have a client, man, that just doesn't want to play nice, man, doesn't want to just follow a simple protocol, they're probably not going to be great clients.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
Probably going to be a pain in the ass. That's already a red flag. Then maybe that's the time to pass on that client altogether.
That's why it seems like so important what you were talking about teaching the leadership. And also teaching that you're the authority.
Yes.
The authority, because it would allow the skill to be able to, because you're going to get people like that they think that they're just like, I'm a paying customer. Like
you have to listen to me.
I don't need to listen to any assistant. And as an authoritative figure, you got to learn how to nip those clients in the butt and be like, you're not getting through to him unless it's through me.
Right. And that's why I always preach to establish your authority from the get-go.
Yeah.
If you're going to talk to, if you got a client that's walking in right now and they barrel past me and try to go to you, I mean, you guys could be having a private session with somebody.
Right.
You could have a client that has their boobs out because they're getting their sternum done, Clients, I mean, you just never know, but a client has no right to come in and try to act like they own the place.
Yeah.
A client, one of the things is clients have a habit of trying to abuse the assistant. I've experienced it myself. And, a client has a right to ask questions. They do not have the right to verbally abuse the staff or the tattoo artist, because I know there's a lot of tattoo artists that suffer with having a backbone and enforcing their own boundaries, and they're people pleasers and, all of that. But when it comes to hiring, you have to nip it in the butt immediately, because if you don't, you're just enabling that behavior to continue.
That just reminded me, I'm so glad that this shop doesn't have the situation, but where I was before, there was at least, I would say 5 or 6 just like tattoo groupies who just hang out every day, come to the
Show
shop
up and hang out, just
walk all over the place.
Just go downstairs and be like, hey, what's going on?
Hang out in the back, eat their lunch. Like they'll be there all day. And like you said, like that sometimes there's private sessions where like we'll have the curtains up because there's girls, without their tops on. Right. And these dudes will come around the curtain like, hey, what are you guys doing?
What are you guys working on?
That's like totally cool because they're a part of the shop. They're there every single day just hanging out. Like
fucking shop rat.
Yeah. Like someone like the assistant needs to put down their foot and be like, bro, you got to either not go behind that curtain, not go, past these, front doors or whatever, or just get the fuck out, dude.
Right.
You don't belong here.
Right. And clients need to understand that getting tattooed doesn't give you ultimate access and unlimited access to the tattoo artist. Yeah. Getting tattooed does not mean that you know how the back end process works. They're two separate things. You only see one side of it. Right. And there are some clients, like I had mentioned, that overestimate their level of importance, and they think that they can just come in barreling doing whatever, and it's not a big deal.
Yeah. The greatest thing that we did at Bowery was put those swinging doors in.
Oh yeah.
Before
people would do it all the time.
We had a shop that was very open. You come up the elevator and then you're pretty much in the work area.
Open floor space.
And everybody, as soon as they would walk in, just go right into the work area. And I built swinging doors, like saloon style doors.
Oh, yeah.
And that immediately stopped that from
Dude,
happening.
it's as simple as swinging doors, setting up a rope,
Yeah.
creating a barrier.
A little barrier.
Yeah.
And people are like, all right, I guess this is where
Yeah,
I
I guess
stop.
I gotta chill here.
That shop started as the artists did everything. Answered the phones, like we're tattooing, phone rings, take a few gloves, answer the phone, book your own appointment, right? And then we would hire somebody at the front, not even for money. It's like, oh, you want a couple of free tattoos, answer the phone calls here and there. And every day without fail, client would call, hey, can I talk to Matt? No, he's tattooing. Can I take a message or let me help you? What do you want? He's like, no, I just want to talk to Matt.
I just want to talk to him.
Like, well, I could, he's
you
right
out,
there.
bro.
I'll help you. Like, this is what I'm here to do. It's like, nah, forget it. I'll call back later. They will not talk to the assistant.
And that's
Wild.
what the most frustrating thing is that's where boundaries and consequences come in. Because if you have a client that's like that, it's like, no, I want to talk to Matt. And it's like, well, I can leave a message for you, but I can't, he's busy with tattoos. I can't guarantee that he's going to call you.
Yeah.
And then next day, it could be months or weeks before he can get back to you. Because if I give you a sticky note, let's be honest, you guys are probably going to lose it.
Yeah.
And
Put it in my pocket.
Right,
Think about it.
yeah.
Wash my laundry.
right. And that's not like burn on tattoo artists or anything, but I lose sticky notes for fuck's sake. Like, so like when it comes to that, it's like, if you want to talk to Matt, you have to schedule an appointment. That's how we're doing things now.
Yeah.
That's how the business is running. And if you can't do that, then you're going to have to wait maybe weeks or months. And if you want your issue resolved now, I can help you.
Yeah. Good luck talking to Matt.
Right. And
Be like, that's not how we're
Do you
rolling
know who
anymore.
Matt is?
Yeah.
right. And then like
Matt's busy.
9 times out of
Yeah.
10, I'm going to know your process better than you do.
Yeah.
Because I study it on an every single day basis. And I'm the one that's enforcing you to be accountable and to actually enforce it yourself.
Great.
Awesome.
And having somebody help you out with your schedule makes the world of a difference. It lets you get back to the thing that you love the most, which is to just make art, do tattoos, and have an easier work-life balance.
Yeah, we need
Because-
help.
Yeah.
We need help. We can't do everything ourselves. Like,
Right.
Yeah. It's really
just-
hard.
I mean, there's so many aspects to selling a tattoo nowadays.
It is.
Putting yourself out there, social media presence, back and forth with the emails.
Yep.
Like setting up promotions or events, you know, or just networking with other businesses. Like,
And one thing that I think that a lot of tattoo artists think is that purchasing a coaching program, like one that can help you be, I'm not good with the technicalities of, like the actual tattooing part, but like if you're purchasing a program to help you make, shed some time off of your tattoo, sure, that can help you speed up your tattoo with your saturation or whatever it may be. But you're not going to get enough time on your hands by purchasing that just alone. You need an extra pair of hands to take all of that off of your plate so you can be present at home with your family, go to your kiddos' sports, go to parties, whatever it may be. But a coaching program in itself is not going to give you your time back.
On that topic, let everybody know how they could get your course and how they can find out about you.
So I am active mainly on Instagram. So you can look me up, the Tattoo Admin Coach on Instagram. I open up my enrollments. The next one's going to be August 1st is when I start enrolling. And I'm going to have you guys fill out a form because I want to get an idea of where you're at currently, what your goals are, what you're struggling with, so I can help accommodate and help you better. And at that point, we do like a little discovery call just to kind of talk to each other. And then at that point, we go into like the cost of it, and then you can choose whether or not to sign up.
Awesome.
great.
Awesome, man. Learned a lot.
Yeah, real informative.
Yeah. And I mean, like, it's always, good to talk to the people that are working the back end of things, because like when you're tattooing, you get in just tunnel vision mode
Yeah,
and you're just,
zone.
Yeah.
and that's how it should be, like the times that I've had assistants and when I'm tattooing, they come over to ask me questions and I'm like, bro, that's what I'm paying you for. I don't want to answer anything. I want to just be right here.
Yeah.
See, that's what I want. Right.
I just want to be right here. I can't answer
Like,
that. Right now.
these
Right.
words and
That-
numbers you're asking me. Like,
Right. That's why your assistant needs to be confident in everything that you do and how you operate. Like they need to be confident in what you do take, what you don't take. And they need to be able to be confident in how they respond to clients. So they're not coming to you when you're in your zone.
Absolutely. It's like, I'm in my artistic brain and you're trying to get me into my analytical brain and it's not going to work. I need to stay in one zone, you know? Can't get these buttery blends if I'm thinking about fucking my 9 o'clock.
All right.
No, not happening.
Yeah.
For real. Anyways, well, thank you so much for coming through today and
Yeah, it was
shedding some
my
information.
first podcast. It's an absolute honor.
Oh, you did great.
You did great.
Thank you.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is.
Anyways, thank you guys for watching. I'm out of it today, guys. I got my knee tattooed today and it fucking sucked, just so you know. So
It looks pretty over here.
but G Money destroyed my knee today, and we're not even done.
It's my fault, guys. Sorry.
Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Yeah.
And peace.
Bye.